Okay, so Jiren, in this example, right, you got 30 students from 4A, 30 students from 4B. They set for a science quiz. So they present to you the data. They present to you the data for each class. Okay, but in the real question, they will not present to you the data. In the real question, they will give you the data, you calculate their mean. So they will give you class A data, they will give you 4B data, then you calculate yourself. But here we presented everything nicely because it's meant for you to learn how to compare. So in exam, right, you will be asked to compare in two different ways. Okay, so Jiren, you take a look. They will ask you to compare in two different ways. So the two different way, obviously, is using the mean will be one way, using the standard deviation will be another way. Okay, so when we present the mean, okay, so if you look at the mean, right, okay, it's very obvious that 4B has a higher mean. Okay, so you say the obvious. You kind of say the obvious. 4B has a higher mean. So 4B has a higher mean. Usually I put a bracket than 4A. So usually I put a bracket. So that is very obvious which values I'm looking at. Okay, after that, right, what is the implication? What is the implication of 4B having a higher mean? That means, right, 4B did better for the science quiz. Okay, it depends on the context. If the context is the height of people, then you can say that the students from 4B are generally taller. You will look at what the context is talking about. So in this context, we talk about the marks. So we will compare according to the science quiz. Okay, so Jiren, you check it out. Make sure you copy the idea. Okay. Okay, but when we are talking about standard deviation, okay, standard deviation may be a bit new to most people. So what does standard deviation measure? Okay, so the definition will be like it measures the fluctuation from the mean. So we will prefer a smaller standard deviation. Smaller standard deviation, right, means, right, you got less fluctuation. So the meaning of less fluctuation means you are more consistent. Okay, no space to write. Okay, so a higher standard deviation means the data is like has a lot of fluctuation, so not consistent. Okay, so what I will do is, again, I will state the obvious first. I will state the obvious. Okay, so let's state the obvious. Who has a smaller standard deviation? So 4B has a smaller standard deviation. Okay, which is like 3.02. Then 4A, 4.9. Okay, you must state the obvious, Javen. So once you state the obvious, right, then you think about the implication. That means 4B is more consistent. That means, right, 4B students are more consistent in the science quiz result, in the results for science quiz. Okay, so sorry, this part is only more consistent. That means, right, Jaren, if you go to this class, right, you find that most of the students, their result is around the same. But if you go to 4A, you'll find that there are very high marks, there are very low marks. So that is the fluctuation that we're talking about. So in 4A, you will expect more extreme result. But in 4B, most of the students are mostly like getting fairly around same result.